They laughed when she picked up the apron. Just a simple woman, they thought, quiet, modest, the kind of person who blends into the background. No one in that kitchen saw what was coming. It started as a joke, a harmless dare tossed out during a lazy afternoon when a group of self-proclaimed foodies decided to show off their cooking skills. They were loud, confident, full of flair. And then someone, half-joking, said, "Why don't you cook something?" Everyone turned to her, chuckling, thinking she'd laugh it off. But she didn't. She smiled, said nothing, and calmly tied the apron strings behind her back. No one knew her story. No one knew what she'd done before she moved to this quiet town. They only saw the present, an everyday woman with no flashy resume, no Instagram-worthy kitchen setup, just calm eyes and a steady presence. They didn't know she was a 10-time culinary champion, with trophies collecting dust in a box under her bed. Years ago, she'd walked away from the competitive world of food, trading camera flashes and cooking contests for quiet mornings and homemade tea. The kitchen suddenly fell quiet as she started moving, quick, precise, confident. Her hands knew exactly what to do. She didn't ask where anything was, she simply found it. She chose ingredients they wouldn't have thought to mix, using techniques they'd only seen on YouTube tutorials, and even then, they didn't really understand them. One by one, the smells began to fill the room. Heads turned, laughter stopped, something had shifted. You could see it in their eyes, the realization that maybe, just maybe, they had misjudged her. There was something different about the way she handled a knife, the way she tested spices with a flick of the wrist, or how she checked the pan's temperature with just a brush of her palm. She didn't need to talk. The food spoke for her. And as the plates were laid out and the first bites taken, expressions changed. Silence fell, not from awkwardness, but awe. No one had expected this. This wasn't just good food. It was something else entirely, something unforgettable. But just as they were starting to understand who she really was, a phone rang. A familiar voice on the other end delivered news that would take this story in a completely unexpected direction, and suddenly, her return to the kitchen might not be as temporary as she thought. She didn't answer the phone right away. The ringtone echoed in the kitchen like a reminder, one she had tried to ignore for a long time. When she finally picked it up, her face changed. The warmth in her eyes faded just a bit, replaced by something more serious. She turned her back to the group as she spoke in a low voice, but they all felt the shift. The woman they had just underestimated was suddenly even more of a mystery. The conversation was short. She nodded a few times, said, "I'll think about it," and hung up. No one dared to ask what it was about. Instead, they watched as she slowly untied her apron and placed it gently on the counter, as if it carried weight. Maybe it did, because behind her calm smile and soft voice, there was clearly a story they didn't know. A past she had left behind for a reason. One of them, Jamie, couldn't help but speak. That meal, it was like something out of a 5-star restaurant. "Where did you learn to cook like that?" She looked at him for a moment, then simply said, "I used to compete. A long time ago." That was all she offered. But the truth was far more than a line. Years ago, she had been at the top of her game, known in culinary circles around the world, the kind of chef whose name appeared in magazines and TV shows. She had won competitions not just once or twice, but 10 times. And not small ones either. These were international contests with high stakes and fierce competitors. Her skills weren't luck. They were hard-earned through years of relentless training, sleepless nights, and pressure that could crush even the most talented chefs. But she'd walked away. Some said it was burnout. Others whispered about a scandal. The truth? Almost no one knew. Not even her closest friends in this town had heard the full story. She had buried that part of her life deep and built something simple and quiet instead. A small house, a peaceful routine, and no attention. Until today. The phone call had stirred something she wasn't ready to face. It came from someone she hadn't spoken to in years, someone from that old world. Their voice brought back memories she had locked away, and maybe even a challenge she couldn't ignore. She looked out the window as if searching for answers in the fading light. Meanwhile, in the background, one of the guests had taken a photo of her final dish and posted it online. Just for fun, they said. But within minutes, the photo started spreading. Comments rolled in. People recognized the style, the plating. Some even thought they recognized her. And just like that, the world she had escaped from was starting to catch up. By morning, the photo had gone viral. She didn't even know about it until she stepped into the little grocery store in town. People were staring, not the usual kind, but that curious side-eye stare that follows you through every aisle. The cashier leaned over and asked, half whispering, "Is it true? Were you really on *Chef's Dual International *?" She paused, lips tightening, then gave a faint smile without answering. That only made the rumors spread faster. Back home, her phone buzzed non-stop. Missed calls, unknown numbers, even some messages from old contacts she hadn't heard from in years. Producers, journalists, a few chefs she once considered rivals. They all wanted something, an interview, a comeback, a reunion episode. One message stood out. It was from Vincent Morelli, a high-profile celebrity chef and her former mentor. Or at least he used to be. Now, he was one of the judges on the biggest cooking show in the world, the Culinary Elite *, and his message was short: "We need to talk, urgently." That name alone stirred something sharp inside her. Vincent had been the reason she left it all behind. Once, he believed in her, called her the future of food. But after one incident behind the scenes, everything changed. There had been a fallout, something ugly and painful. He'd used his influence to shut doors, quietly. Nothing public, nothing loud, but enough to push her out of the spotlight. And now he wanted to talk. Meanwhile, Jamie and the others from the cook-off joke couldn't stop buzzing about her. They tried visiting, bringing up how they had always seen something special in her. It was awkward. She didn't blame them. They had no idea. But it made her retreat even further. Then came the second conflict. A local food blogger wrote a story about the viral dinner and mentioned her name, first name only. But that was enough. Online sleuths were already connecting the dots. Some remembered her from old competitions. A few even shared clips from a final match years ago, where she walked off stage before accepting a trophy. People were asking questions. Why did she disappear? What really happened between her and Vincent? The pressure built like steam in a locked pot. And through it all, the woman stayed quiet. But inside, something was shifting. She wasn't sure if it was anger, regret, or the old fire that once made her unstoppable. The world was reaching for her again. But this time, she didn't know if she was ready to reach back or burn it all down. She sat at her kitchen table, staring at the message from Vincent for what felt like hours. We need to talk. Urgently. The words kept repeating in her mind like a ticking clock. Outside, the quiet hum of the town carried on as usual, dogs barking, a lawn mower in the distance, but inside, her world felt like it was tightening. The past, the fame, the betrayal, it was all pressing in, closer than it had in years. That night, she finally replied. One word, when, His answer came in seconds. Tomorrow, live event, I want you to cook. She knew exactly what he meant. The Culinary Elite was hosting a surprise showdown. An all-stars return segment streamed live to millions. It wasn't just a cooking contest. It was theater, politics, redemption, and spectacle all in one. Vincent wanted her there, not just as a guest, but as a story. He knew the value of drama, and he was cashing in on hers. The next morning, a black car showed up at her door, right on time. She hadn't confirmed anything, but somehow they knew she'd come. Maybe because they also knew her silence had never meant surrender, it just meant she was waiting. As the city skyline came into view, the pressure built. She hadn't stepped into that world in years. The kitchen lights, the cameras, the chefs with their sharpened blades and sharper egos, and Vincent, still charming, still dangerous, waiting like a spider in the center of it all. Backstage, the energy was electric. She walked through the prep area where younger chefs whispered her name, some with awe, some with curiosity. One even asked for a selfie. Her hands stayed steady, but inside, everything was spinning. She didn't come for fame. She came for answers, for truth, maybe even for revenge. A producer pulled her aside, handing her a mic and rattling off show rules. It's a 3-dish challenge. Surprise ingredients, live judging, you know the drill. Oh, and Vincent said to tell you personally, he's looking forward to seeing what you've got left. She didn't flinch. Moments later, she stood on the stage. Bright lights, roaring crowd. The host announced her name, and the room erupted. People remembered her, more than she ever expected. Cameras zoomed in. Across the stage, Vincent gave her a slow clap and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Then the challenge began. The clock started ticking. But it wasn't just a cooking competition now. It was a battle for identity, for respect, for something much deeper than a trophy. And as she reached for the first ingredient, the past and present collided in one boiling pot, ready to explode. She reached for the saffron, only to find the jar empty. Panic flickered behind her eyes, but her hands didn't hesitate. Years of instinct kicked in. She grabbed turmeric and smoked paprika instead, adjusting everything in her mind in seconds. No time to think, just move. The cameras were inches away now, capturing her every motion. But it wasn't the missing spice that rattled her. It was what she saw across the counter. One of the other chefs, young, cocky, and clearly trained for TV, was using *her * signature technique. The same plating style she created years ago, the one that became her culinary trademark. It was rare, complex, and personal, a move not found in any cookbook. He was copying her, confidently, almost perfectly, as if it were his own. She kept cooking, but her thoughts raced. How does he know that? She hadn't shared that technique in years. It was one of the last things she held onto after she left. Her hands moved on autopilot, mixing, tasting, adjusting, but her mind was spiraling. Then the second twist landed like a punch to the gut. The host announced a surprise mid-challenge twist. Chefs, you'll now be judged in pairs. Your dishes must complement each other. Success will be shared or lost together. And our surprise pairing, Chef Marcus and Chef Elira. Elira, her name, spoken like a secret that just got out. And Marcus, the young chef copying her technique, was now her partner. The audience roared. Cameras panned between them. Vincent's smirk widened from the judges' table. He knew this was no random draw. This was his game, and she had just stepped into his trap. She turned to Marcus. He looked unsure now, caught off guard. "Where did you learn that technique?" she asked, quietly but firmly. He blinked, hesitating. "Online," he said. "There's this private forum, industry stuff, rare footage. Someone posted a video, no name on it, but I studied it. A lot of us did. You were kind of legendary." So someone had leaked her work, probably years ago, and she had no idea. Now, the only way forward was with him, this chef who unknowingly mirrored her past. Their dishes had to sing in harmony, or they'd both lose. But Vincent had already played his hand. This wasn't just about food anymore. It was about reclaiming what was stolen, about finding out who betrayed her trust, and whether she could still win in a world that had once turned its back on her. Time was running out. The final course had to be plated, and behind her calm focus, her heart was pounding with one question. Who else had been watching her all this time? The final seconds ticked away as Elira and Marcus laid down their last garnishes. The crowd was electric. Every dish glistened under the studio lights, but it was theirs, rich with color, texture, and emotion, that drew the cameras in. Their two plates didn't just match. They told a story. Hers was rooted in deep tradition and memory. His was sharp, new, modern. Together, they formed something powerful, unexpected, like a bridge between generations. The judges moved in silently. Forks scraped, bites taken, eyebrows raised. Then Vincent stood. He looked directly at Elora, smile gone now. "This dish," he began, holding up her plate, "is unmistakably hers." The crowd clapped. Then he turned to Marcus. "And this is clearly inspired by the same hand. That's no coincidence." Elora's stomach tightened. Vincent leaned in, voice lowering. "You didn't leave the culinary world because you were tired, did you?" The studio hushed. "You left because I made you believe you had no place in it. I buried your name when you questioned me, when you refused to play the game." The air thickened. "And yet," he said, pausing, "here you are, cooking better than ever, and teaching, even when you don't know it." She said nothing. She didn't need to. Her food had already answered. Then came the twist. Vincent stepped down from the judging table. "This isn't just a competition," he said. "We've been searching for the next mentor chef, someone to lead a new program for rising culinary talent. We were never going to choose from the winners. We were going to choose from the bold, the ones who changed the game." The camera zoomed in on her. "Elira," he said, eyes soft now, "I want you to take that role." Shock rippled through the audience. Marcus's mouth fell open. Even the host looked stunned. She stood frozen. After all the years, the betrayal, the silence, he was offering her a platform again. But this time, not as a competitor, as a leader, as someone who could shape the next generation. Her eyes flicked to Marcus. He gave a small nod, full of respect now. She stepped forward, and then paused. "I'll do it," she said slowly, "but on one condition." Vincent raised a brow. "We open the program to chefs with no credentials, no fame, just passion, people like the ones you've overlooked for years." A beat of silence. Then Vincent, finally humbled, nodded, agreed. The crowd erupted. But as the lights dimmed and Elora walked off stage, a notification buzzed on her phone. An anonymous message with a link. Asterisk leaked footage, years old, private kitchen. "You didn't post this, did you?" asterisk. Her smile faded. The past wasn't done with her yet. Later that night, long after the lights had dimmed and the studio emptied, Elora sat alone on the rooftop of her hotel. The city buzzed below, but up here it was quiet. She held her phone in one hand, staring at the anonymous message. The link opened a grainy video, footage from years ago, taken in a private kitchen where she had once trained in secret. She was plating a dish, her voice barely audible, describing each step in detail. The video had no watermark, no credits. It had been stolen, leaked without her knowledge. She watched in silence. It wasn't anger that filled her, not now. It was clarity. That video had been passed around, dissected, learned from. Her style, once buried, had lived on, even without her name attached. And somehow, despite everything, it had helped shape new chefs. Like Marcus, like others she'd never met. In the end, the legacy she thought was lost had been working behind the scenes all along. By morning, she had made a decision. She reached out to the show's producers and asked for one more change. The mentorship program would include an open submission platform where home cooks, small-town chefs, and self-taught culinary artists could send in their own cooking videos, no matter how raw or unpolished. No agents, no filters, just real food from real people. The announcement stirred a new wave of excitement across the food world. People from all walks of life started submitting their stories. Single moms with weekend pop-up kitchens, grandparents sharing family recipes, young cooks filming on cracked phones in tiny apartments. The same way she once began, with heart, not hype. Elora took her place at the head of the program, not with loud fanfare, but with quiet focus. She taught, she listened, and most of all, she made space for others. Even Marcus joined the mentorship circle, bringing fresh perspective and a growing sense of humility. As for Vincent, he stepped back from the spotlight for a while, maybe to reflect, maybe to heal. Whatever the reason, their last conversation ended not in conflict, but in mutual respect, something that had taken years to earn. The story of the simple woman who had once been told to cook as a joke had come full circle. She wasn't just a culinary champion. She was proof that skill, heart, and purpose always rise, no matter how long it takes or how quietly they begin. And somewhere out there, someone was watching her story, apron in hand, ready to step into their own kitchen and start